Alrighty. Should be starting up any second now. At least that's the plan. Alright. Should be good to go. And we are. Wonderful. Mute this. Alrighty. So, as the title says, I'm painting a Vanari Bladelord tonight, and as I put in parentheses, kind of. This is not the official model, obviously. This is a proxy that I'm going to be using. This is an old Swordmaster from the old High Elf range, but I'm going to try to paint him similar-ish to the box art of the Vanari Bladelords. So yeah, here we go. So I'm going to start off with Baharoth Blue. If it'll focus, there we go. Baharoth Blue. Just realized I got to do one thing first before I start this. 10 out of 10 for professionalism, eh? Alright, there we go. Alright, so, like I said, Baharoth Blue. Here we go. So, I'm going to paint all the cloth on him this color. So that'll be this between his legs here. The shirt that he wears, and then the sash that he has as well. I'm just following the box art, make sure I have that correct, and I do. And I'm going to do my best to avoid the armor on this guy, because that's going to be white. So I'd like, if possible, to just leave it this primer color and then just use some contrast paint over the top of it. But we'll see. Wow, are we late or what? Oh, you probably have to refresh. I've started 3 minutes ago. Sometimes YouTube does that. And if you've come to the page early, yeah, it probably was you. Pretty sure I started directly on time. Sometimes you have to refresh the page, which is annoying. It's not a constant thing either, which makes it even more annoying. Yeah, I'll take blame this single solitary time. That's cool. That makes sense. Alrighty. Got the sash, got that. I'm going to paint the plume on his helmet in this color as well. We're going to come back and add some darker blue to this later, but for now it's okay. Give us a plume fact. Okay. In ancient warfare, regardless of how silly they might have looked, plumes on helmets were used so that a commander who was up on a hill viewing a battle could tell which troops were his and where his troops were going, because he could tell by the direction the plumes were moving if his troops were running away, going forward, moving the way he wanted them to, etc., etc. How about that? You weren't ready for an actual plume fact, were you? Alright, we've kind of got plumage mixing with hair here, but we'll make it work. We're all just the Lord's play plumes. Wow. Alright, that should be all the blue that we need on him. Now I'm going to move on and do some of the silver. Not going to do all the silver because of drying times, but I am going to paint the sword silver. This is the wrong paint. There we go. So for this, I'm going to use Granite Steel. And just paint the sword. Making sure to get into all the nooks and crannies of these runes, but not to, or also to make sure that the paint isn't piling up in those runes, because it won't dry properly and it will hide detail. We don't want that. Smithing levels. Oh boy. What a thing. Alright, there we go. That will do. Now, we're going to take some Apothecary White. And we're going to go over... No, I lied. First, we're going to do the Ultimate Silence and use the Revlon hairdryer. So, 1 second. I know, one day I'll figure your ad out. No, I didn't send it yet, sorry. I drafted my email that I'm going to send to Revlon to see if they want to sponsor me. So, you never know. Alright, so I'm going to take this this Apothecary White now, and I'm just going to cover everything, basically. Specifically focusing on the white and the light blue that I just did. So the stuff that we're going to be leaving white is the armor, not the chainmail, just the armor. And then we want this on the blue also to just dull it down a little bit, basically. You could send it to Sydney and have her completely rewrite it. Yeah, you're right. Alright. There we go. Just want to make sure we're not making it appear gray in any spots. We just want it to be softening the blue and shading the white. And I think we've done that effectively. Maybe just a little too much right there. Alright. So now we'll get the hairdryer out again. And then we shouldn't need the hairdryer for a while. So here we go. You need a musical guest or on-screen facts or something. Oh, while the hairdryer's going? Yeah, maybe you're right. All right, now we're going to go back to Grey Knight Steel and do all the chainmail. Then after this, we're going to go with some gold. And then start painting some little details. Typically, I find it easier to paint the larger details first. I could have painted his sword earlier. Or this, like, half sword, large dagger, whatever it might be. There we go. Alrighty. We've got some more chainmail in his arms. Alright, there we go. So now we're going to do the gold, and that's going to be all the trim on his armor. And for that, we're going to use Peridot Alchemy from scale 75. This has a mixing bead in it because this paint likes to separate, so it's a bit louder when you shake it. Alright, so I'm just going to do this on all the trim on the miniature. This is a very pale gold color, almost like a bright gold, I guess you could say, or a burnished gold even. And that's what we want. The hilt of his sword we're going to do in Retributor armor, because that's a much richer, almost red gold. And on the box art, that's what they have. They have 2 different golds on him. So typically I don't like to paint like that. Typically I like to keep the same metallic colors across the whole miniature, but in this case, I'd like to follow the art. Just see what color leather he has on him. Okay, it's like a chestnut color. We'll do that shortly as well. Alright, and this part here needs to be gold. Right there needs to be gold. And then he's got a little bit of detail here on his arm. Alright. So now I will do the leather, and I'll do that with Gorgrunta fur. There. So this will be his belt, the wrapping on the swords, and possibly something else. I think that's it though. Once I turn the miniature around, I may realize I've forgotten one part that will be this color. Nope, just more of his belt. Should probably try to be in frame at least. Alright, now the belt. And the wrapping on the sword. Excellent. Then he's got the little, like, just, I don't know what you'd call this, the little strap scabbard. And then more belt. Alright. That's all of that. Then I'm going to do his hair in Skeleton Horde. These elves are blonde. He has a lot more hair than they do in the new version of this kit, but that's okay. The new one, all the hair is tucked up inside the helmet. There we go. And I realized I forgot to paint that guy's circlet on his head. So I'll just go back to the peridot alchemy, the same gold we used earlier, and just paint that in. There we go. Now I'll do his skin, and I'll do that in Guilliman Flush. It's just his face in this case, because he's got gloves on. Alrighty. Looks good. What else do we have to do here? Oh, I see I missed some more gold. Let me paint that in on this other side here. Good. Alright, now I'm going to take the other gold that I was talking about, Retributor Armor, and paint in the hilts of the swords. Make sure that get every little edge of this stuff, because the white will stick out like a sore thumb, like right there. And then down here as well. Okay. And then we'll get the hilt of this other sword. And then I'm going to get the ends of these tassels right here. Alright. There we go. So that's all good. Alright, now I'm going to take some darker blue. Some ultramarine blue in this case. And leave the middle part of the plume the color that we already have it, but put this on the sides. So just like this. Leaving the middle part and just going up here. There we go. Perfect. Now I'm just inspecting the current model. Let's see what we need to do here. All right. So now I'm going to take some pallid witch flesh, and I'm just going to bring out some of the white on some of this stuff. So this little necklace thing here, I'm going to make that white. Will there be seafoam? Oh, where will the seafoam green be? I'll think about it. This thing I'm going to make all white. Good. And then I'm just going to do some quick edge highlighting on the armor here. This is just to help make the armor read as white more than gray. Which I think it already was, but it never hurts to help it along a little bit. There we go. Alrighty. Then, I'm just looking at the miniature, see what we're going to do. I'm going to take some Nuln Oil. And I'm just going to carefully outline some things here. Darken down the sword. And make sure it goes into these runes nicely. Make sure it's not too heavy in there. And get the chainmail. Don't want too heavy a coat on this, just enough to give it some highlights. And then if there's too much, we'll just pull it back off. And these tassels need a little bit. And the belt needs a little bit. There we go. All we gotta do is belt buckle too. I'll do that in just a second. Okay. Then just make sure it's not pooling anywhere too much. Just put it in a couple places on the plume here. And then up here on the circlet on his head. That looks good. Just going to get it a little bit in there. And then a little bit on his feet down here. Just to give these armor panels a little bit of oomph. Same on the side here. All right. Oh, and then I'm going to get one line in here to differentiate the plume and the armor there. And then one in here for the plume and the hair. Okay. Almost done with him now. Just going to take some Talisar blue. It's very bright blue. I'm just going to dot it into his eyes. So we want sort of like magic almost coming out of his eyes. Okay, so there. Wow, that doesn't read on camera at all. It's like I didn't even do anything. I'll make that a little darker if I can. Does that come through? Man, that really doesn't come through. That's crazy. We'll take some Cadian flush tone now and just touch up the face. Just missed a couple spots and hit the skin color. So I'm just going to knock that back down. He doesn't need blue eyelashes. There we go. Then I'm going to take some, not Guilliman flesh, I guess Gorgrunta fur, and just put it in his mouth, so his mouth is darker than the rest of his skin. There we go. A little bit more. That's good. Alright, then I'm going to go back to the Talisar blue and paint in all the gems in this color. Okay, and then there's a gem here, and 2 gems on the sword. Alright, now I'm just going to pull this null oil that's a little too strong out of here. I'm just going to put it right here, in fact. Perfect. Alright, so there's him basically done. And now I'm going to just work on the base real quick. So to start off, I'm going to take snakebite leather. Maybe. There we go. And paint the whole base with this. And then we'll use the Revlon hairdryer to dry this up. And then we'll add some foliage and we'll call it a stream. Alright, there we go. Oh, no, gotta get under him. More here. There we go. So then, like I said, I'm going to mute and dry it up. Alright, that will do. Then we're going to take snakebite leather again and just put it on the flat surfaces. So down here, along here, get a little more down there. Up here where his feet are. I think that's about all of them, maybe a little bit right here and right there. Alright, and then we're going to dip this in some flocking. This is Army Painter Grass Green, specifically. And the rest of the miniature is dry, we know that. We don't want this flock going everywhere. So, just dip him down in there. Make sure to get all the exposed areas that you want. Then we'll just tap off the extra. Blow it off in the areas we don't want. And we're all set. We've got a base there that will hold up. Then we'll take just a little bit of Agrax Earthshade, if I can find it. Here it is. And I'm just going to put that in the recesses here. Just in a couple places where the snakebite leather didn't quite take. This will help give some visual variety to the base anyway, so that's fine. I could just go back with snakebite, but the slightly darker color will help bring it all together, I think. Alright, there we go. Then I'm going to paint the base rim. And for that, I'm just going to use... No bands again, dang. Sorry, man. One day. I get enough spam on videos. If you're quick, I don't think you can set up notifications for that. But if you're quick enough, you could remove the spam comments on videos. Alright, so for that, we're going to use Black Templar. And just go around the base rim nice and carefully. Alright, there we go. And just pop him back up here. Sit right in there, and there he is. Our Vanari Bladelord, who's not really a Vanari Bladelord, but will be a Vanari Bladelord. How's that? But yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one, which will be this coming Friday at 1 p.m.